Good evening, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. Good to see everyone here, all the smiling faces and persons within the temple. Just a couple announcements. Tomorrow will be a very joyous day. Mazel tov to the families of Ethan Godarov and his family on becoming a bar mitzvah tomorrow morning. And also mazel tov to Evan Gordon and his family. So we have a double header tomorrow on Saturday, and we wish them all mazel tov. Within the health situation, we've all been living through the COVID situation, and it's important that you know we have an active COVID committee that's meeting every week or every other week, depending on our need. And we're keeping the health and the integrity of our congregation as our number one and first priority. So it's important that you know people are working actively behind the scenes constantly to have the proper protocols and procedures in place to keep you healthy. Adult B'nai Mitzvah classes are in their second week, and there's still time to register and receive the materials for the class. If you'd like to participate, Pamela Henderson is leading this class on Tuesdays, so you can register at our website, www.lasvegasnertamid.org, or take part in the Zoom venue. Rabbi Axelrod has also held his second class in Essential Talmud series this week, but it's not too late to go ahead and join for Wednesday on Zoom to study and examine one of the longest conversations in history, the meaning of the sacred text. You can again register at our website at lasvegasnertamid.org. Next Tuesday, our popular trivia night takes place at 7 a.m., led by our own Mindy Watkins, who began and runs a really fun program. We've participated in it, and it's fantastic. More information at mindywatkins@me.com. Next Thursday, the Cantor Early Childhood Education Center will host a Mommy and Me event at 10 o'clock a.m. There will be music and movement class for the kids aged 3 weeks to 5 years. It's a great way for moms and kids in the community to meet up and socialize. Next Thursday night at 5:30 p.m., congregation will host Rabbah Rona Matlo, who will give one of the series of 2 lectures via Zoom. Thursday's lecture is called Frequently Mistranslated or Misinterpreted Biblical Verses. You can sign up now at the website I discussed. Lastly, we'll be kicking off our Chavarot program in the next few weeks, and we're asking interested members to sign up now. And we're going to help you get involved in the interest groups that you specify. So it's important that you let us know online as to what you're interested in. Groups can center around such things as Adventure Club, Book Club, Caregivers for one another, CNT Preschool, Conversion, Dining Club, Family Fun, Hiking, Mahjong, pickleball players, and even just plain old friends, some get-togethers. So please take interest in that and sign up. And the Kavarot program, by the way, is headed by our vice presidents of membership, Barney Tabak and Alyssa Polis, and you can also ask them any questions you might have. We want to thank the Godarov and Gordon families for sponsoring an Oneg to go for this evening. As you leave, please make sure to pick up a special personalized pink box donut on your way home. We want to thank tonight Rabbi Axelrod, Cantor Hutchings, Ed Birch, who is sitting in a piano. Ed also plays with the Shabbatones, as you know. Del Acosta, our Shamus, Haley, and Lee, who is helping out tonight, and myself. Important that we pay attention to and let you know that we are upgrading and reevaluating all of our security procedures to keep you safe, to keep us safe here and at services. This past week has been very harrowing, and we want to do everything we can to make sure you feel safe being here, and we all look forward to coming to services without worry. The exits are, as you know, the lobby exit. We also have our patio exit. We have an exit over here going to the kitchen, and another one on this side too. So look around, know any exit, and we'll have more updated security information for you to help you along in case anything should be needed. So with that, Shabbat Shalom, greetings.
You're a professional announcement giver, Ira. Well, I think before we get to the serious part, we can have a little bit of humor. I assume over the last year, there's been a little this.
Mm-hmm. The cameras had...
Explain what's happened. How did we fix that?
So when we started with the company that we used to do the live streaming, for many months we used Mevo and me. I was your camera operator. I did a lot of this on my iPad during services. But then we upgraded to the cameras that are up on the ceiling when we invited you back in here. And we quickly noticed that we were very shaky on the screen. People were giving us that feedback, and we didn't know what to do about it. And we found out it's because they didn't take into account that we are in Las Vegas and our air conditioning is almost always on. So the HVAC system made our cameras very shaky.
This sounds really technical.
It was very technical. So who do you think rescued us but the great husband, not you, husband, which is Jeremy. And I said, Jeremy, you have to fix it. And he didn't know what to do. He did a ton of research, and he found these it came in a box like this big, and it was supposed to stabilize it for us. And he said, if it doesn't work, you're going to have to figure out something else. And it appears to be working.
I mean, the original idea is he was supposed to be on the ladder and just hold it steady.
Yes.
That didn't last very long.
No, he said if this didn't work, we'd have to take them off the ceiling and put them on tripods.
So if we kind of do this, we'll fool everybody.
Yeah.
You know.
It appears to be stable for the first time ever. It's very exciting.
Do you think anyone knows that we're stalling because
we didn't have any Shabbat candles?
We didn't have any Shabbat candles.
Yeah.
I don't think
they're like, we don't want to hear about your cameras.
Yeah.
We came in person for a reason.
That's right.
We didn't want to see it shaking anymore.
Yeah. That's right. So that was a pretty good stall, I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now they know about our HVAC system.
The whole bit. Thank you, Dale. So let's get into the spirit. From one Shabbos to another, the whole world seems to change, right? Our perspectives, our sense of feelings, vulnerability, need for healing. So one of my colleagues, Rabbi Karen Kadar, who actually was our guest scholar many years ago, she put together some wonderful reflections from her book, from Rabbi Charlie and others. And so rather than utilize the main prayer book tonight, Cantor and I are going to be interspersing some of these readings before we engage in a little bit of a dialogue about our feelings about what happened. And so let's begin with a traditional prayer, Shalom Alaikum. You can follow along on some of the songs 142.
We greet the Shabbat angels. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we call forward our honors for lighting the candles. We have lots of special women in the lives of these two young men. We have Grandma Gail, Aunt Marissa, and Dory, and we have Mom Susan, Sister Sarah. We have Mom Jess, Grandma Sharon, and Sister Olivia. If that applies to you, that might be your name and your title in one of their lives, then please come up to light the Shabbat candles. I also want to introduce one of Evan's cousins, Raymond. He is a guest cantorial soloist tonight. We're going to see him a couple of times, and we're very lucky that maybe you've seen him here before, because thankfully there are multiple children in the Gordon home, so that he will come for all of their simchas. So we welcome him tonight for Evan's bar mitzvah. Let us kindle the Shabbat lights as a symbol of our determination and resilience. It is a tradition that we light candles for the number of members of our family. Tonight we light 4, or in this case, the usual 2, for each member of the congregation Beth Israel that was redeemed from captivity for last Shabbat. They became a part of our family. Last Sunday, Congregation Beth Israel held a service of healing, and as a community, they uttered these words: "We stand together against hatred, bigotry, and violence. We stand together in love and support of each other. We stand together in words and deeds. We stand together understanding that our actions matter."
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat, for within these walls we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors through lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we in our turn come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. Join together in Lachadodi 138.
We greet the Shabbat bride, verses 1, 5, and 9.
Yalalala lechadodi, yalalala likrat kala, yalalala penei Shabbat nekabe, yalalala lechadodi. Yalalala likrat kala, yalalala penei Shabbat nekabela, shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, hishmi'anu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad. ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. We rise to greet the Shabbat bride. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. We turn to page 144 and welcome our B'nai Mitzvah up to the Bima.
Israel, Bagala, Kiri, Vimeru, Amen. Heshmei Rabba Nevora, Be'olam Ulam Me'almaya, Yitbarach, 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 Hadar, Yitala, Yitala, Shemei Kusha, Brihu, Le'ela, Miko, Mirhata, Shirata, Shishirata, Mata, Vimeru, Amen.
We rise for the Baruch Hu, page 146. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai
courage and consolation. Holy One of blessing, grant us the will to stand firm in the face of evil and hostility, not to be silent or afraid, to work diligently and faithfully to banish wickedness from the earth. Holy One of blessing, grant us the courage and resolve to speak when there is hatred, to act when there is confusion, to join with others in building a world of safety, understanding, and acceptance. Because there is hate, dear God, help us heal our fractured and broken world.
Because there is fear, dear God, grant courage and faith to those in need. Because there is pain, dear God, bring healing to the shattered and wounded. Because there is hope, dear God, teach us to be a force for justice and kindness. Because there is love, dear God, help us to be a beacon of light and compassion.
Amen. Please rise.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Arushin Kivot Malahuto Leolam Va'ad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one.
Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Please be seated.
We continue with the Vea Hafta on page 154. Vea Hafta et Adonai Orhecha Leha Uvehone Udeha Hayu Advarim Ha'ele Shehim Mitzaveham Hayom Aleoveha Bishinatam Neha Vidibartam Bam Bishihaha Viteha Ufleteha Dere Ufshafteha Ufkumeha Aleodeha Hayilitotefa Beineneha Nefaftam Zizobeteha Vishareha Mantiskaru Vatsitem Elotai Viatem Kedoshim Elohem Ani Unayohem Tzitiatem Mitrayim Elohim Ni Adonai Elohem Adonai Elohem Emet.
This next reading comes from the book Amen by Rabbi Karen Kadar. The refrain of the congregation are these words: we are not helpless. We bring healing with band-aids and hugs, a cup of coffee and chicken soup.
We are not helpless.
We bring healing with a text, a call, a card, a response that says, you are not alone.
We are not helpless.
We bring healing with acceptance, patience, and understanding for ourselves and for others.
We are not helpless.
We bring healing with words of compassion and acts of compassion, reaching out with care and love.
We are not helpless.
We bring healing to heart and mind, body and soul. We bring healing every day.
We are not helpless.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא
This reading is again from Amen, Seeking Presence with Prayer, Poetry and Mindfulness. It's called For Suffering. May I see the spark of holiness in all that I do. May the light of God guide me through the darkness.
May my prayers strengthen me, urging me to be present for those who are suffering.
May I become a messenger of caring and compassion, a partner with God in the work of healing.
May I be guided to fight injustice and to love, peace, and harmony.
May God's blessing be with those who are in my heart as I utter this prayer. May all that is good in life
Lead me to passion and radiance.
Amen.
Amen. And even though this is a solemn kind of Shabbat, Shabbat is about joy. So what brings us the most joy? Seeing our students on the Bima. So from our current B'nai Mitzvah to our post-Bat Mitzvah, we'll call up Magnolia, because I have now dubbed this her Shabbat V'Shamru. V'Shamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat. They know what to do, you do too. Asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam Berit Olam. V'Shamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam Berit Olam. Beini Uvein B'nai Yisrael Oti Le'olam. V'Shamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam Berit Olam. Ki sheshet Yamim Asa Adonai et HaShamayim V'et Haaretz. V'Shamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam Berit Olam. Uvayom Hashvi Shabbat Vayinafash Shabbat Vayinafash. V'Shamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam Berit Olam. One more time, let's hear you. V'Shamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam Berit Olam. You know who wasn't doing it was the bar mitzvah families. They're saving their energy for Yismachu tomorrow. I know they are. I am cold, hungry, without a home, he said. Please come inside. I will make you a cup of tea. Let us sit a while. I have a moment before I pray, the rabbi answered.
We will never fathom how kindness was no match for hate. Perhaps it was an ideology of hate that twisted his soul. Perhaps it was the conspiracy of lives that tormented his mind. Perhaps it was madness.
Their backs were turned, facing the ark, standing in prayer, and when this slide was on the screen, they heard a click of a gun.
My God, guard my speech from evil and my lips from deception. Before those who slander me, I will hold my tongue. I will practice humility. Open my heart to your Torah, that I may pursue your mitzvot.
As for all who think evil of me, cancel their designs and frustrate their schemes.
Act for your own sake, for the sake of your power, for the sake of your holiness, for the sake of your Torah, so that your loved ones may be rescued. Save with your power and answer me.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer.
And may the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel and all who inhabit the earth. And we all say,
Amen. We rise for the Amidah, page 164. Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We continue in silent prayer through page 180, using the words on the right or the left side of the page or the words within your heart. When you have completed your prayers, please be seated. If you're watching us on the live stream, we invite you to enter the names of those you are thinking of for healing prayers at this time. Enter as many names as you wish.
So we think of those who are in need of our prayers. I think of the Beth Israel congregation and their need for healing, the Jewish community that surrounds them, and really throughout the world. We think of those who are dealing with matters of the body, of the heart, and of the mind, addiction too. And those who are caregivers, who give of themselves tirelessly to ensure that those people that they care about are taken care of, that they are ministered to. And as we think of them, we think especially of those whose names were submitted to our office. We think of Bessie and Jaden Bruno, Sari Ray Greenspan, Suzanne Denton Pratt, Georgia Kokia, Jeremy Filer, Logan Knapp and Knapp family, Karen Murko. I always think of my sister Dina and my mother. As I look out at the congregation, if you'd like to say a prayer of healing for someone, please stand and say their name.
Paula Barnett, mother of Lisa Farhami, Angela Siegel, Matthew Oakley, Sheldon Jacobs, Robert Miller, Debbie and Ed Van Dunk, John Canoni, Karen Skier, Aaron Edelman Josephs, Nan Spector.
As we think of all of them and others who touch our hearts, we join together in Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
So we want to take a moment again for something of joy and celebration. There are not many members of our staff. In fact, I can count them. It's Roberta and myself who have been with the congregation longer than, 15 years or 20 years. Cantor, you're coming on 8?
I mean, I grew up here, so does that count?
No.
Yeah, I'm almost 8.
8, yeah, 8. So we want to honor someone special tonight, Lee, who celebrates this month his 10th anniversary of service to our congregation. So Lee, come on up. So first Lee says, I don't want to say anything. And then he comes up to me and says, I don't want to say anything much. So I don't know which it is, Lee. Come on up. Don't be bashful.
He might be a bar mitzvah then. They don't want to say
That's
anything
right.
either.
We're going to give you, we're going to give you one more. Why don't you tell them what you texted me? That's enough. Huh? What you texted me last night. Try that.
I'm blessed. No.
Yeah.
All I have to say is it's been great being here with everyone. I got a lot of friends in Sisterhood, Men's Club, working for Roberta, hanging out with Rabbi, a lot more with Cantor and her husband, and I just love it being here. Hopefully, I'll do another 10 until you retire, at least.
Okay. You got it. So, Lee, we have a certificate of appreciation, which we're going to share in a moment. But then there was something special that you wanted, which we get to use the COVID excuse. It is on back order, okay? It's somewhere in China. All right? There was something special you picked out in the gift shop. And what was it? It was a special necklace with a Jewish, was it with the Jew, with the Torah on it? All right. So, as I say, it's in the mail. It's somewhere between China and the port in Los Angeles, making its way to Las Vegas. All right, right? The president, well, I'll just add another thing. But it will come, and we're going to all look at you and see you wear it with pride. So the other thing is you wanted a Jewish name. And you know my favorite Jewish name is Ishkabibble. But Lee discounted that. I don't know. And then what was another one that he wanted? Zizzle? No. What was it? Gittel?
He was pretty adamant of what he wanted.
He really, really wanted. What was it?
Moshe.
He wanted to be Moshe. He just wanted to go right to the. He wanted to go right.
I said,
Is
so
he
you
a
want to be
millennial?
the most famous Jew there ever was.
Is he like a millennial? He just wants to go right to the top.
The influencer.
So, Lee, we put on here that your Jewish name is going to be Moshe. All right? And you're going to use that name to lead. And there was another thing about Moses. He was able to see things that no one else could. He was a shepherd walking along, and he looks up, and he sees a light that burned, that was not consumed, and no one else could see that. And it attracted to him. It attracted him to that light, and he realized that he was face to face with God. In some small way, we hope that when you come here, you find your own sense of spirituality, because what you do for us is really holy work. It really is. A little known fact, and I'm not going to say too much, but when Lee first started 10 years ago, he took the bus 2.5 hours each way to come here. And before he was hired, because we thought, why are we going to hire a guy who lives so far away? He called every day, Roberta, and said, I'm going to work here, I'm going to work here, I'm going to work here. I really want to work here. And that passion has never abated. And he has been of service to us, he has been our friend, and he has been there to make sure our events run smoothly and everything just goes right. Well, except tonight, the Shabbos candles. But I'm not going to say anything there. I'm not saying
It
nothing.
looked like he came up there also.
But other than
challah.
the Shabbos candles tonight, Lee, everything has worked out perfectly.
I know.
That's right.
I'm
That's
curious,
right.
who in here has had a simcha or some kind of event that Lee has helped put together for you? That's a lot of
All
people.
right, well, look online. There's a lot here, and there's a lot more online. You have literally touched the lives of hundreds and hundreds of people, and we appreciate it. So, Cantor, here we go. Official presentation.
Okay. Al HaTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. These are the pillars of Judaism that we stand on and that Lee has helped us stand on. In recognition and appreciation, this citation for service to the synagogue and the Jewish people is presented to Moshe for devotion to the involvement in Torah worship and deeds of loving kindness. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. We give thanks to you, O eternal, our God, ruler of the universe, for giving us life, sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this day of joy.
Amen.
And Roberta says she's going to get this frame for you.
All right. Here we go, everyone. A little Siman Tov and Mazel Tov.
Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, yeah.
So good Shabbos, everyone. I'm sure that in your homes, as in our homes, we've been talking a lot. You know, either you were watching the Raider game and switching back and forth, or you forgot the Raiders game and you went right to what was going on, and your eyes were wide open, and your hearts were beating, wondering what the outcome would be. And thank God the hostages were saved, and they made their way out safely. And it just resurrected feelings within us as clergy, within our community, our phones, getting texts, what are we doing, what's security? And we thought we would personalize it by a dialogue between the two of us, touching upon some of the issues that have been raised over the past week. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Blessed are you, God, sovereign of the universe, who frees the captives. Look in almost any prayer book of any stream of Judaism, and you will find this prayer in the section known as Blessings of the Dawn. The invocation comes right at the beginning, so integral is this idea to the Jewish people. We praise God again for freeing captives during the Amidah, one of the liturgy's most central prayers. And as we know, late Saturday night, as news came of the safe conclusion of the hostage-taking at Congregation Beth Israel in Colleyville, Texas, I, along with many other Jews around the world, recited that blessing. Tears for many of us flowed freely. We shared it, we posted it, we felt it. Another tragedy has been averted, but the scars remain. They will take a long time to heal. I thought of Beth Israel's rabbi's two daughters who waited all day to hear of their dad's fate. And one rabbi recently shared that some of her colleagues' children don't want them to be congregational rabbis anymore. It's too dangerous. They don't want to have to worry every time their parent goes to work. As for me, I turned to my writing and my poetry, and here's what I wrote. I don't want to be a hero. I just want to live my life in naivete that everything will be okay day after day after day until it's not. I don't want to be a hero, but I do not want to be a victim either. We live in two worlds, the aspirational world of common humanity, goodness and friendship, the horrific world of danger, violence, and hatred. And the two worlds collide more often than I would like. I don't want to be a hero. I want to do my best to live in the aspirational world and understand and protect against the other world, the netherworld. The idea of being at risk as a clergy person started even before I was ordained. This is a story I don't think I've ever shared with anyone here. When you study to be a rabbi, you serve small congregations. My very first one was Barstow. But my second one was in Reno, and that's where I met Joni. And we got married, and the rest is history. But while I was in Reno, and I think I was all of 22 years of age, I was leading Shabbat services in this very small synagogue. I think it reminds me of our Beit Tefillah. And someone comes up to me and says, Rabbi, I think he's got a gun. I'm 22 years old. I have no training. But I'm the rabbi. To them, I was their rabbi. I was 22. Even though I was the student rabbi, I was the rabbi. So I say, well, who are you talking about? And they go, that guy over there. So I didn't know what to do. So I went up to him and wished him good Shabbos and kind of checked him out. And I noticed his hand was like this. So I said, you know, I want to talk with you privately outside. It's a little warm in here. So we went outside. And I said, what do you have there? And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell am I doing, right? But I don't know any better. And
This is against all the rules they teach us.
that's right, but they didn't teach us anything then. That's what's sad. So he reached out and he pulled out a bottle of liquor. And that's what he had. He was drinking a lot. Crisis averted. But even then, the reason I remember this story is because it got me thinking about what could have happened. And anytime I share this story, they tell me what an idiot I was. But, you know, you're naive. Even Rabbi Charlie offered the guy a cup of tea. You know, you want to be welcoming. And when there's a threat, what do we do as clergy people? We want to protect our community, and we also know that our family is, you know, sometimes at risk. And of course, they get scarred because when they think about what could have happened to Rabbi Charlie, they go, well, that could have happened to you. What's the synagogue doing? What are you doing? So I could talk a lot more, but it's supposed to be a dialogue, and a monologue. So Cantor, share some of your thoughts too.
Well, unfortunately, this isn't the first time something like this has happened. And when Tree of Life happened in Pittsburgh, we started to think about our exit plans and our plans for how we were going to do things. And the fact was, you could be as prepared as you want, but you don't really know how you're going to react when that happens. I'm a freezer. I like freeze, and I don't know what to do when there's something scary. So when I got in my car after services on Saturday, and I had a text from my dad that said, you should turn on the news, this is happening, what's the temple doing to secure you? And I'm so worried, which I'm sure a lot of parents of clergy had sent texts or calls at the same time. I did what I'm taught to do, which is learn from my students. And Cale Frankel had just gone on the Bima for his bar mitzvah, and he gave a Dvar Torah about faith, and that was what his Torah portion was about, faith. And so I prayed, because I didn't know who this rabbi was or who his parishioners were, but this was a place that I could easily have found myself in, and it was a very scary moment for us as Jews and as humans that these people's lives were at risk. So I listened to Cale, and I had faith. And we just waited, and we prayed.
So as simple as it sounds, have faith, right? But it got Rabbi Charlie through a lot, right? Because he had to remain calm. And part of it was his training that he got, but part of it was his ability to center himself through his faith that everything would go just fine. So we think about ourselves and our family, and of course, we love everybody here. This is our family, right? So, we think, what can we do to secure and make this place a safe place? So, just to take you back, you mentioned the Tree of Life. And this is before COVID. It seems like another lifetime, doesn't it? But before, when the Tree of Life happened, and that was so much more tragic, I remember meeting in the social hall, and we talked about it and how people felt, and we processed it, and then we followed it up with FBI, and they did a lot of the training. The same training that Rabbi Charlie got that kind of became part of muscle memory that, to flee and to put obstacles and to do all that. We're going to bring that back, okay? And sometimes you need that visual reassurance. So tonight you see Officer Adam, he's here. And we're going to be talking about it at the board meeting. There are things that you don't see. We got 2 security grants totaling $150,000. This is way before Tree of Life. So that we have, I'm not going to put it on video and live stream, that there are things that you don't see that protect us as well. But we know that you need the visual reassurance. And we know that you as a community are going to support that decision if that's what the board comes through, because it's not inexpensive, but it's part of all of us coming together to make sure that we care about one another. It seems that Tree of Life was so long ago, and then we got into this COVID. And what was we concerned about? The virus. And now we're concerned once again about the virus of hate, sadly.
Well, as a Jewish mother of a Jewish boy, I keep thinking about something I saw on Instagram after this happened. There is an influencer named Hen Mazig, who many of you probably follow. If you don't, you should. And he said, being Jewish and alive shouldn't be a miracle.
And I never thought that I would be in this position to be thinking about having a security guard at services and having there being a person that's armed and all these things. It shouldn't be something that we're even thinking about. We should just be able to pray. And yet there's so much anti-Semitism in the world. And I think about when I was Maddie and Maggie's age, or Evan and Ethan, I thought that anti-Semitism was something that happened in the past. It was really bad. The Holocaust was a terrible thing, and we got smarter and we got better as people, and it's done. Like, we're not gonna have to ever deal with this. And as I grew out of naivety, unfortunately, I learned that that's not the truth, but that is not a reason to not be proud of my Judaism and wear my star and wear my kippah. And we learned that Rabbi Citron Walker wore his kippah before he became a rabbi, and he never experienced any kind of anti-Semitism, and he wore it proudly. If we back down to anti-Semitism, the anti-Semites win. So my big question is, how do I teach my Jewish child to be proudly Jewish and not live in fear, but also be vigilant? It's kind of a hard balance.
That is sadly what every Jewish parent has to think about, right? The balance between the two. There was this little, I hate to call it a controversy, but was it an act of terrorism or was it an act of anti-Semitism is going through? Why can't it be both? Because it really was both. When he sought to take a hostage, Malik Faisal Akram didn't go to an airport, didn't go to a church, didn't go to a Costco. He went to the synagogue. So by definition, that's part of the whole anti-Semitism thing, because he went down the rabbit hole of the conspiracies which are on social media that somehow the Jews control the world. He tried to call the chief Jew, the rabbi at Central Synagogue, Rabbi Buchdahl, called her twice, because he thought in his head that he could get the freedom of Afia Siddiqui, who is a Palestinian woman who's a terrorist and was captured by Americans and now is in U.S. federal prison for trying to kill American soldiers. That was what is in his head. He goes there because the Jews have all the power. And so it was an act of anti-Semitism, plain and simple. And why do we have to argue about it? And why is it so important? Because, as Cantor just said, over 90% of Jews around America now feel threatened by anti-Semitism. And that whole sense of fear and insecurity is something that law enforcement and society needs to understand. They really do. It is the Jewish community and the African American community that, unfortunately, their churches, synagogues are being preyed upon the most. And when you go out and you see the guards in our synagogue, that should not be the new normal. It really shouldn't. But we're afraid it may become, or it already has been.
But I have a question. I don't know if you have an answer for this. Why was the media so afraid to call it anti-Semitism for so many hours? It really bothers me, because that's what we knew that's what it was as soon as it happened. We knew it in our hearts, and we didn't have to know facts to know it was. So, okay, they need to know facts before they put it out there. But why do you think?
I think in their mind, they wanted to treat it as an act of terrorism, domestic terrorism, which it was, but then they had their certain procedures. And I don't know if in their mind adding that layer of anti-Semitism was going to help clarify things or not. I'm only speculating. I have no idea. I know the FBI kind of backtracked on it as they got a lot of criticism for it. But we got to be grateful for law enforcement. We thank you for being here. We really do. Yeah. We really do. So how do we move beyond the sense of fear? I'm going to share with you something that Deborah Lipstadt wrote. When I got directions to synagogues in countries outside my own, be it in Germany, Turkey, Poland, Italy, or Colombia, I would be advised that to make my search easier, I didn't have to know the precise address. When I got to the street on which the building was situated, I was told I should just look for the police officers with the submachine guns. This is in Europe. That's where the synagogue would be. Also, bring my passport and be prepared for questions. I hope we don't become that.
That was my experience in Berlin, too.
Yeah. In some cities, she continues, synagogues ask that you call ahead to let them know you are coming. We did that for COVID protocols. Now we're going to have to do it for security protocols. In Stockholm 2 years ago, the guard outside had been alerted to my coming, but he took no chances, so I found myself on a snowy street reciting selected prayers for him. You think you forgot your bar mitzvah prayers? You better brush up, because we're going to make you say the Shema before you come in here.
I have a funny story about that.
Can I finish the little
Sure.
thing? And then you go to funny. That was once an experience limited to when I traveled abroad. Now American Jews like myself experience it at home, in our own synagogues, and in those we attend in American cities across this country. We look across the street at the big church and can't help but notice that there are no guards there. Okay, funny story.
Well, it goes back to being naive. In a time where we didn't have security guards and stuff, but Israel did, on my birthright trip, it wasn't just, you go to normally you go on an airplane, back in the day maybe, but definitely for Israel, you would have to, normally you go to an airplane, you go through the security at the gate, and then you show up at your gate and you get on the airplane. In Israel, you have a second security, if anyone's ever been to Israel, where they ask you lots of questions. They asked me, what's your Hebrew name? And 23-year-old me was like, I was so scared because I never had been asked these questions before, and these scary officers were in front of me, and I'm like, I just want to go to Israel. And my sister was like,
Ishkabibble, when all fails.
I was like, my sister elbowed me, and she goes, Yehudit, your name is Yehudit. I'm like, Yehudit. I swear I know that was, I was just very scared. I couldn't even answer the simplest question is, what is your name? And we learned that we're gonna need all of that. We're gonna need to not be afraid of the security, but instead to know that it's protection, and it should actually give us a deep breath instead of tighten us up like it did me. And we have to not be naive.
So let's be grateful for the law enforcement, as I said, but I also want to acknowledge grateful for the support of our interfaith community. I'm part of the Interfaith Council, and they reached out to me, and our neighbor down the street, Reverend Dahl, he wrote me a beautiful note. I want to share it with you. My heart has been so heavy since learning of the incident in Texas, and I'm struggling to know how I can help you and our friends at Ner Tamid. In my heart of hearts, I know we must stand together in these uncertain times. I know today is a busy day for you, but I want you to know I am praying for you and your congregation daily with love. Thank you for the gift of your friendship and brotherhood as we endeavor to shape our world with love and beacons of light. Reverend Adrian Dahl at Green Valley Presbyterian Church.
And I got a similar one from the LDS church. These are so important. And this is something that I feel like I've been screaming on the top of my lungs on Instagram, because that's a place where at least my generation is looking at media. And I feel like I was very alone. There was the influencers that were Jewish influencers that post Jewish content all the time who were saying something. A few of my teens were saying something. But for the most part, people of influence who were Jewish and people of influence who were not Jewish were not saying anything during those 11 hours, and it was really bugging me. And to get these notes from our neighbors was a really important thing. And so I encourage you to look to your friends, both Jewish and not Jewish, and the Jewish ones, bring them here to this space, whether it be online or in person, bring them here. Because this is our opportunity to show up and be very proud of who we are. And for your non-Jewish friends, educate them on who you are and show them that, we are in this together. We are humanity together. And I think the more that we educate, the less anti-Semitism that we're going to face.
I want to thank our board. So I want to acknowledge Ira. We have Cindy. Go ahead and stand. Ira, Cindy, Barney. These are three of our board members who are here tonight. Without putting them on the spot, go up to them with your COVID mask on and share with them, your feelings and what you hope to see happen to reassure you that this is a safe community, that our board understands what you would like to see happen, and together I think we can make a difference and make sure that, as Cantor has said, and I reiterate, we must be here. You know, we must be here. We may have been afraid of this unseen virus and not to be taken lightly, but it's so important to be here now, online or in presence, and to say, we've been around 5,000 years and we have survived so much. And that's because we live on hope. We live on resiliency. We live on the joy of being Jewish. I whispered to Cantor, I said, are you going to do that Vashamro? I don't know if it's appropriate. And she says, yeah, Rabbi, we got to be who we're going to be. And you know what? She was right. If we're not going to have joy in our Shabbat, what's it about?
Nobody wants to come for a sad Shabbat.
No. So we may have done some sad readings tonight, but we got to have joy of Shabbat. We got to celebrate Moshe, and we got to celebrate the B'nai Mitzvah, and we got to have our own eggs, and we got to remember that we're proud Jews, not sad Jews, not fearful Jews.
Not hidden Jews.
And not hidden Jews. So thank you for allowing us to model a discussion, and we hope that it's something that's going on in your homes and in this community, and we wish you Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, sweet Spirit, hear my prayer. Help these words heal someone out there. I am but a voice, just a cry in the air, but I sing nonetheless. In this pain we share.
Oh, sweet friends, come and dry your eyes and hold each other to this tree of life. I'm angry and tired of this great divide, but I sing nonetheless with love on our side.
Oh, sweet souls who feel broken now, we'll heal together somewhere, somehow.
Time and again we've been let down, but we still sing nonetheless, still whole and still proud. Oh, sweet Spirit, hear my prayer.
Help these words heal someone out there.
We begin to conclude our service on page 586 with Aleinu. Please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומורדים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
If you're watching on the live stream and you are thinking of someone who has recently passed away, or you are observing the Yortzeit, the anniversary of someone's death, or you are simply thinking of them tonight, please put those names in the chat at this time.
So we say Kaddish for Larry Ben Ruth, Harry Reid, Myrna Williams, Morris Steinberg, Terrence Higgins, Frank Heyman, Rose Downs, Richard Miller, Larry Copland, Rose Rubin, Betty Edelman Brandis, Dr. Norton Reutman. We recall the Ortsites of Aryeh Bareket, Lois Berman, Louis Birnbaum, Abby Braun, Walter Breen, Fern Chenin, Esther Corbin, Eli Davis, Sophie Doctors Hooker, Marcus Fisher, Alfred Moses Kersler, Harry Glasser, Elaine Horlick, Ray Israel, Fred Jensen, Harold Lerner, Natalie Marcus, Robert Marcus, Edward Molinsky, Harvey Moody, Joanne Mullen, Madeline Nitzkin, Gloria Parker, H. Sam Prisant, Heather Santer, Miriam Scheinwald, Frank Schwartz, Betty Silber, Karen Skier, Hal Waldman, Nelson Werner, Harry Willen, Lena Wilton, Cloud Wilton. Do we have others who would like to say a name that was not mentioned? Please stand.
Patricia Horsley, Benjamin Laxton, Phyllis Olshine Hubbard, Richard Miller, Moisha Domby, Seymour Joseph, Arlene Mintz, Aryeh Frankel, Gerald Reed, Fred Weinstein. Hi Schiffman, Richard Miller.
We turn to 598. We rise for Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah b'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayecha v'yamecha v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael b'agalav v'zman kariv v'imru amen yeheshmei rabbah mevorach le'olam amen maya Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekusha b'richu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata dami ram b'yalma v'yimru amen yehishlam araba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen Osei shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Please be seated.
So we want to give a special thank you to Raymond once again for being our soloist tonight and sharing his beautiful voice. We want to thank Eddie on the piano, and you'll see him twice again tomorrow. Of course, we want to thank our shamus Dell and our bar mitzvah boys, Evan and Ethan, and their families for sponsoring the oneg tonight. And of course, we want to thank our staff member Haley, who's in the back. And did I miss anyone? The rabbi. I have to thank the rabbi.
And the cantor.
There's always so many thank yous. We have to thank
Well,
all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the thank yous.
Thank you to all of you for making it possible to have a minyan and have services together.
So, do we have an oneg tonight?
There is an oneg.
I think it's a special one.
So, it's taken us a little while to figure this one out because we used to give cakes. When there was a bar mitzvah, there would be a beautiful cake for the bar mitzvah. Sometimes their picture would be on it. It would be like a big deal. But then COVID happened and no one shares a big cake anymore. So you'll see what we ended up with tonight. And I think this is the answer to celebrating
look at this oneg.
It's
carefully.
a good one.
Look
It's a
at-
good
look at
take-home
what's out there.
oneg.
That's right.
It is,
All right, so before they get their oneg, we have to do Kiddush and Motzi.
of course.
All right, so let's go for it. Bar mitzvahs to the Kiddush. Del, you're on duty.
Now, I think I spoke too soon with the shaking. I still see it. So, if you would like to get a couple of tripods for us, that is the next step to no shaking.
No, we're not doing tripods. Monopods. All right.
You'll want to join us next week. I think we're going to have a test of a brand new sound system, so you're going to want to hear what that's like. Plus, it's Shabbat in the round, and we'll have our musicians for that. Should be extra special.
All right, here we go.
Amen. So, of course, the message that we all were thinking and that we continue to think is that we want to fill this world with love. We want to build it with love. So we conclude tonight's service with Olam Chesed Yibaneh. We will build this world with love.
Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yalalai, lai, lai, yalalai, lai. 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 I will build this world from love. Yalalai, lai, lai, yalalai, lai. And you must build. And you must build this world from love. Yalalai, lai, lai, yalalai, lai. And if we build this world from love, yalalai, lai, lai, yalalai, lai, then God will build. Then God will build this world from love. Yalalai, lai, lai, yalalai, lai.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Ira and Cindy and Barney and Dell, as board members, they'll be around to give a caring ear if you want to talk to them, and we're going to make our way into the foyer. Enjoy the Oneg Shabbat, everyone.
We'll see you in the morning and the afternoon.